Once Upon a Dream, A Twisted Tale by Liz Braswell. Chapter 2 Happily Ever After Redacted. Once upon a time, there lived a king and queen who ruled their kingdom as their forefathers had, but with even less wisdom. They hunted unicorns in the deep forests until there were none left. They banished all of the wise old men and women, witches and hermits, priestesses and shamans, who advised them to follow a more prudent path. They threw parties for neighboring kings and queens that fairly bankrupted the castle, which led them to levy even higher taxes on the poor. Then they looked around at those neighbors' lands with covetous eyes, wishing they had more for themselves. But as it was mostly a peaceable country, they had no military resource. After some years, the queen gave birth to a girl, which was something of a disappointment since they wanted a prince who would inherit the kingdom and become king one day. At least, she was beautiful and sweet-tempered, with a halo of golden hair that made her look like a cherub. Everyone who saw the baby princess fell in love with her. For the baby Aurora's naming ceremony, the king and queen invited everyone they knew, as well as 3 evil fairies who lived in the darker parts of the land. Every guest dined on rich delicacies kept warm under golden domes, and they ate with golden forks and golden knives. Every banqueter was allowed to keep their golden dinnerware as well as the jeweled goblets that held ancient, priceless wine. And all the guests gave gifts to the beautiful little baby: snow-white ponies, pillows of velvet and silk, toys carved by the cleverest dwarfs. And then it was the 3 evil fairies' turn. "Here she is, as promised," said the king. "Now it's time for your gifts," said the queen. The first fairy laughed wickedly. How about beauty? She may as well be pleasant to look upon while she slaves for us eternally." The second fairy said, "I'll give her the gift of song and dance. Perhaps she can entertain us." The third fairy said, "I give her parents the power they wish, and supernatural help they need to attain their heart's desire. And on her 16th birthday, we will claim the princess as ours." The 3 wicked fairies laughed and tittered in unsettling peals. "No!" Hidden among the guests was one of the last remaining good fairies in the kingdom, who had kept a low profile since the banishments began. "My lord and lady," Maleficent said, coming forward. She was an impressive figure, young and comely. "You cannot do this. You cannot sell your child to the likes of these." "I thought we had done with the last of you," the king growled. "Do not meddle in the affairs of kings, hag. It is not your place." Maleficent looked sadly down at the helpless little baby, who was still smiling despite what was going on around her. "Poor child," she murmured. "My powers are not strong enough to prevent this wicked transaction. Not the way matters stand now, but I swear on my own life, I will be back and set everything to rights. On your 16th birthday, goodness and nobility will be restored to this wretched kingdom." And she vanished in a puff of green smoke. As the days wore on in the wretched kingdom, the little Princess Aurora grew in grace and beauty. She sang and danced to the delight of everyone around her. Her parents, meanwhile, made good use of the powerful demons and fearsome magics given to them by the fairies. They waged strange and terrible wars upon their neighbors that not only decimated their enemies, but punished the land itself, rendering it infertile and foul. Only horrible black and twisted things grew where the king and queen's army had passed. Soon that was most of the known world. The peaceful valleys, lush orchards, sparkling rivers, and snow-capped mountains that the queen and king had so envied and wanted for themselves were now nothing more than a blasted wasteland, blown through by hot and deadly winds, occupied by only the most vile, unnatural creatures born of darkness and magic. And the monsters, having consumed everything else, began turning their hideous eyes to their master's castle. Meanwhile, the good little princess was mostly neglected by her parents and often wore rags, except for the rare occasion when the king and queen noticed her and decided to dress her like a proper member of royalty, so all who remained could see and admire her. Aurora took her mistreatment surprisingly well, making friends with the dwindling numbers of cats, mice, dogs, birds, and squirrels who lived within the castle walls. All the people who still made the castle their home loved her utterly. But they were frightened of her parents more. At 16 years of age, Aurora, now a beautiful young woman, knew full well that her birthday celebration were less important than the apocalyptic events that were occurring in the world around her. She forgave her parents in advance for most likely forgetting that special day, as they had for the last 15. Still, she dressed in her finest gown and prepared to greet everyone with the grace and good humor for which she was known. Someone would remember and wish her congratulations, perhaps whispered so her parents wouldn't hear. As the clock struck noon in the middle of her birthday, the three evil fairies appeared. "We have come for what we have been promised," the first one said. "We can no longer control the magic you gave us," the king protested. "Perhaps you shouldn't make deals with the devil," the second fairy said. "You must save us," the queen cried. "No," the third fairy said. "Now, hand her over." Confused, Aurora looked from her parents to the fairies. What? What is meant by all this?" she asked, hoping against hope she didn't understand. "You must go," the queen said wearily, gesturing to the fairies. "No!" As had happened 16 years previously, there was a puff of green smoke. Maleficent appeared. She did not look like she had before. Now she leaned hard on a staff, and her beautiful face was drawn and hollow. Black robes wrapped around her like she was an ancient pilgrim at the end of a very long journey. "It has taken me the full 16 years to prepare, but now I shall do my best to prevent further evil in this kingdom," she said, her voice still strong. She raised her staff, and green light glowed from the crystalline orb at its top. "You have no power," the first fairy began. "Begone!" Maleficent cried. She threw both her hands into the air, and green fire shot from her body. The three fairies shrieked and dissolved backward. The essence of their being returned to whatever evil place had spawned them. "Oh, foolish king and queen," Maleficent said, "what evil you have done cannot be entirely undone. The land will shriek forever from the pain you have caused it. Perhaps, however, I can save what little is left." She raised her arms again and chanted. Green fog flowed out from her fingertips and through the delicately painted windows of the castle. It ebbed around the black and twisted trees that now grew in the dried up moat. Vines and thorns began to sprout from the ground. These grew rapidly and reached up over the castle walls, crisscrossing quickly like the warp and weft of a spinster's loom. Soon the whole castle was enveloped in a dark green shadow. Unholy cries of frustration rang out from the blasted land beyond. Spent, Maleficent fell back, her white face even paler than before. We are safe. The king, about to give her royal thanks or some such, was not allowed to speak. She held up her hand and he was silenced. You, however, will receive a punishment far kinder than you deserve considering the things you have done, she said coldly. For selling your own daughter to the dark and destroying the world outside these castle walls. You should die. But as the new queen of this castle, I will show leniency and lock you in the dungeon forever, where you may think upon what you have done and repent. And the guards of the castle and the people within did nothing to stop this, and may in fact have helped push their old king and queen down the stairs. Sold me? Aurora murmured. I don't understand. Maleficent put her hand on the poor girl's head. I'm so sorry, child, she said. This is a terrible thing to have happened to you and the world you knew. But at least now, you and those still here may live, and we shall survive and prevail. And so Queen Maleficent, Aurora, and the survivors in the castle lived happily ever after, while the world lay dead and deadly around them. Hey everyone, this is Angelica. Thank you for watching and listening to my voice. I hope you liked it. And if you do like it, please don't forget to hit the like button and also the subscribe button so you will be noticed every time I update the story. See you guys on the next chapter. Bye bye!